Hello and welcome to the DiLive Podcast. Today we're talking about limiting beliefs, which all of us have experienced at one time or another and perhaps still are around various aspects of our life. So what are limiting beliefs and what do they do? Like why do we want to change those beliefs? How do we recognize them is one of the first questions that people often ask. And when I'm thinking about, for myself, what's a limiting belief, it's something that is holding me back from moving into what I want to be, what I want to do, what I want to create. And the first sign that you have a limiting belief, and this takes a little bit of awareness, is the feeling you get when you go to do something that you might first recognize that, yes, I would like to do that. And it might even be right there, right then, that you get a feeling inside of you that is like, ooh, a bit like dread, which doesn't make sense because you're like, I do want that, but I don't feel so good about that. So that will indicate that you have a belief living deep in your subconscious that says that's not you. So that's the first way that you might start to experience a limiting belief. And most people at that point, if they're unaware, will just shelve the idea and go on to something else, keep doing what they've been doing forever. However, if you're watching this podcast, listening to this podcast, you have got things you want to get on with in life that you want to move into, and that's good. Life in us wants more expression, more expansion. We're here to grow and experience more in life and to be more, do more, create more. So identifying your limiting beliefs first will come when you're thinking about something, and you might notice it then, or it might come when you actually get the feeling that I'm not sure I can do this. It starts as a bit of you're not confident, you're not sure, you start to doubt yourself. And yes, they're thoughts, but they also produce a feeling. And then even if you get past those, when you go to act, and I have a bit of a story to tell you. When I first started this business, I jumped off the edge and said, right, I'm going to do a presentation. You know, I'm a coach and I'm going to start presenting. So I was writing a presentation to be done actually on the Monday night. So it was the weekend and I had booked a place, invited some people, and there I was on the weekend writing my presentation. Well, it took me every minute of that weekend to get this presentation in form, in which time I nearly threw my computer out of the window. I just was so frustrated. It felt like there was a physical block in me and I could not produce this simple presentation for that night. And that continued. I mean, I did get on and do it, but it was like a wrestle inside of me and it felt, with something I couldn't even see. And that's what a limiting belief is. It's like something you can't see, but you can feel like you're just being held back. So that's where you'll start to feel it. Often I say to people, where do you feel like you're stuck? So that day I was very stuck. I felt stuck physically, mentally, emotionally. I just could not move forward. So that is where you'll identify them. There's a technique that I like to use to help move past that once you've identified your limiting beliefs. And it is about carving out a new pathway of the way that you think. Because when I look back on all the times where I've had those blocks, it's felt like, oh, this isn't me. My thoughts, it's almost like they don't know where to go in this new endeavor that I'm thinking about doing. And even if I can just say, no, we're just doing it, even as I walk towards it, it's like I'm just aimless because I don't have the pathway of thought. I've never thought like this before, even though I've got the idea of what I want to do. And so visualizing is a great technique to use. And even the visualizing, when you sit down to do this, so I want you to do it with me now, like pick something that you think, I really want to be this. I want to be more confident so that I can speak to this group of people, or I want to dress a certain way and feel confident in that. I want to have a loving partner and this is the way I see that being. Pick something that you want to grow into and start to form the picture of what that looks like. Even in that process, you will feel a little rusty. You'll be like, it's just blank. I can't quite grasp the vision of it. And that's why it's a practice. So practice, and a good way to start that is to jot down the elements that you might see in that picture, if you would take a snapshot of you being that or having created that, what do you see? And just jot down some of the elements. So you're sort of gathering a bit like a collage, really, gathering the components of, it's got this in it, it's got this in it. You're not trying to piece it all together just yet. You're just recognizing that this element feels good. Yes, I want that in it. Oh, this doesn't, no, this isn't fitting. Get your elements together and then start weaving them into a picture. And as you do that, you'll actually start enjoying that process, okay? And so even just you thinking about it is starting to carve out new pathways of thinking that are not like your old pathways. So yes, you will have sometimes those voices in your mind saying, oh, this isn't me, this feels uncomfortable, but you can move forward like that. Start forming those new pathways. It won't feel like you, but the more you think on it, it will become more familiar. And that takes me to the next point about limiting beliefs. In order to move past them and actually let them die a death and replace them with beliefs that are supporting what you want to do, the best way to do that is, yes, to get your image and to play with that. Let that word be in your vocabulary. I'm going to play with this image. It's not like, right, I'm going to do this and I've got to be really serious. This is happening. Play with it to start with. Start building those pathways of thought and imagine what it looks like. And then there's a process called autosuggestion. If you've read the book Think and Grow Rich, it's in there. It's a whole chapter on autosuggestion. Short chapter, but very punchy because it actually describes, all those years ago even, the science of the subconscious and how to plant a belief that really is going to serve you. So we don't focus on the belief that you want to replace. It's a bit like if you had opened up your home for a party and you've got people coming in the door and there's someone there that you don't want there. You don't entertain them, make them feel welcome, pay them a lot of attention. If you just leave them in the corner on their own, they'll eventually leave. And that's what we're doing with these thoughts. We're not paying attention to the thoughts we don't want and the beliefs that we don't want. We're just not encouraging them to stick around. We're actually giving our attention to the new thoughts, the new ways of thinking. When I was not confident, I was not focused. So I didn't start thinking, why am I not confident? Why am I not focused? I started saying, if I was confident, what would that look like? And as I started to think about that and picture that, just like a movie, I could start to think, I'd be thinking like this. So that's what auto-suggestion is. It's me suggesting to myself what I might think, what I might feel like. And so as I repeat those thoughts and those feelings, like, I feel free, I feel comfortable, I feel proud, that's auto-suggestion. Okay, and as you do that, that's writing new neural pathways. And if you've seen any of Joe Dispenza's work, he talks a lot about the science of that. And you'll even see video of neural pathways being formed when we think a new way, when we do something new. These little nerve endings, it looks like, are trying to connect, and eventually they connect and you're performing that thought or that action. And if you do that repeatedly, it'll really cement it. But if you don't go there often, it'll just disintegrate again. But the way you're working now with the beliefs you have now, those that are limiting and those that are actually helping you, they're really well-worn paths in your mind, in your subconscious mind. So they're not hard to think, they're not hard to walk out. But when you're replacing them, they'll be a little bit shaky to start with. Don't let that disturb you. Just know what's taking place and keep going. The fact that replacing limiting beliefs is not a once and done. We are evolving human beings where you'll achieve something. Like now I'm confident I can speak on a stage with thousands of people and not be at all disturbed. In fact, enjoy it, which was not where I had come from. So you've got things like that you'll move into, and it's a constantly evolving process. That's why DiLive exists. This company exists to help people really evolve in the way they're living every day and love it. So we run trainings, which are no cost to you except your time, once a month online. So it's a Zoom call with me and all of you that register. And there are many exercises and topics that we talk through in those trainings. So just take a look at the link below and register for our next training. I'd love to see you there.